What's going on, people? We are live. Don't apps me. Don't apps me, man. I'm joined by the guy, the man of the moment, apps. Mainstream media apps, shall I call him?
Just what do I do to earn this kind of abuse, man? I don't even know, man. I don't know what I do.
This slander. But yes, apps is here, and again we got a special guest, aka Coach Dents. Well, go on, my G.
You couldn't even let me introduce my own friend. You couldn't introduce my own friend.
What? He's not my friend as well, now.
That's what I'm saying.
Don't ask me, bro. This is my show.
Ooh.
I guess he said,
this is how he's behaving.
Don't encourage him. He doesn't need you to encourage him.
Wow.
Don't ask me. Look at the ego, man. Jeez, little thing.
It's getting intense already. We're only a minute in.
Only a minute in, man. Oh, wow.
Hollywood apps, man.
You know.
Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. The man said Hollywood apps.
Oh, boy.
First and last time, still.
Okay.
But yes, how you doing, gents? Anyway, you good?
Yeah, man. All good. Enjoying seeing what this is all about, you know. Apple has put me onto a few. So I've had a little watch of a few. And you know what? Looking forward to being a part of this one.
Yeah. Apps has been keeping people entertained for sure, man. And, you know, he's now doing the rounds now. I'm proud to see him doing the rounds, you know, everywhere. But he knows. You know this is where it's home, innit? You know what I'm saying?
Home is where the contract is, isn't it? Home is where the contract is.
Oh, boy.
Put the contract down.
So you got premium ink, yeah.
Let Apple be at the wheel. It's been good, man. It's been good. This another lockdown, tier 4. Boy, man.
That's where you're living now.
Listen, I knew you was gonna say something. Listen. I was up in your tier 2 ways the other day, man, just spreading bare corona. Don't worry.
Oh yeah, for people that don't know, you know, Mr. Dents is out of town now, as they say. Or he lives in country, as they say. Or is that
whoa.
I know, that's what the young people say, you know. So that's the reason why you can do the whole background. We're tier 2, you tier 4, and all the rest of it. Okay.
Yeah. You man are in prison still.
I'm just saying, you know, tier 2's massive, isn't it? Tier 4 is like that.
Yeah, it's locked down. You man are locked down.
We are locked down.
Hey.
Yeah.
I was about today, just so you know. I was about today. Yeah, I enjoyed it. I had a good time.
Going to the park and that's about it. You know what I mean? That's how
far.
That's it, bro. That's how far we go with it. Locked down.
If I speak,
trust me.
If I speak, I'm in big trouble.
I'm trying to get into some teams, you know, maybe some vets teams or whatever, you know. Might be able to get signed up somewhere.
Bro,
so you can make it,
huh?
Dents was kind and said you can make it, and I said, swear down, you're playing vets football.
Bro, I'm old enough to be vets, you know.
Nah, I'm not having it. You can make it, man. You can make it. You can still make it.
I'll skin for you, bro. You know what I'm saying, you know?
Hey. Someone's there.
What have you got for me, basically? But yeah, seeing as I've got 2 coaches on the show, obviously we're going to talk about coaching. First things first, we want to talk about one-to-one coaching. Now, obviously in the previous lockdown, there was a lot of one-to-one coaching going on. Obviously, due to they're keeping all the rest of it. But I want to talk about the ins and outs of it. First off, pricing, and then secondly, you know, what's the word I'm looking at? Like the makeup of it, you know. So are people just kind of rocking up and doing it willy-nilly, cowboys, antics, all the rest of it. So I kind of want to dive into it a little bit like that. So first things first, I'm like, explain how long have you been doing your coaching for before we get into the whole makeup of one-to-one coaching?
Me first, yeah?
Yeah, guess first, man.
Cool.
That's
All
regular.
right. Nah. I just had to try and make sure that the people them see I got manners, innit? You know.
Yeah.
But
People
yeah.
don't get drawn in, you know. Dents ain't got no manners, you know. I'm just letting you know.
Pure manners live here. That's all I know. My well-mannered you. But yeah. So I've been coaching now one-to-ones for the last. Every time someone asks me, I say 5 years. It's probably been about 7 now. I've been doing it a while. It started off me doing it as a way to get into coaching because I got my UEFA B, and as we all know, it's not that easy to get into academy football. It's not that easy to sort of get yourself a role where you're able to maybe affect the gifted and talented footballers. So you have to start somewhere. I picked myself up a grassroots team, and then started doing one-to-one coaching as well. And I guess it just kind of picked up. When I was doing it, there wasn't too many people doing it at the time. So me setting up and just doing it, it gave me sort of a platform to kick on, and it's progressed from what I would call just balls, bibs, and cones to what I now like to call performance coaching, which is actually working with the finer athlete, the sort of athletes that are looking to perform on the top stage. I still work with those aspiring to get into academy football, with those aspiring to be pro as well. But I've really sort of developed and progressed. The product has progressed over the years, which has been a worthwhile thing and maybe a profitable thing for me. Definitely.
Okay. Just briefly give it to your background. Obviously, we know you work in the professional side of things, but again, like aside to that, we're focusing on one-to-one coaching today. So, talk to us about your experience like
that. So quite similar to Dents. I've been focusing on one-to-one coaching for probably about 6 or 7 years. In the last 3 years, I would say I've moved from general development based sessions and training with grassroots players to working with more elite based players and players that are maybe at the top end of semi-professional football, and also playing in full-time professional football. I'd say the biggest difference between the two, kind of like what Dents touched on, is that there's a performance element and then there's a development element. So, you know, when you're working with those that are aspiring to sort of hit that kind of level, you're looking at developing weaknesses, but also strengthening strengths. And when you're working with elite players or players that are sort of in the upper range, you're looking at more performance-based sessions, looking at maybe small flaws or weaknesses or things that they really need help with, things that they are being tasked with by their own managers, their gaffers in their own spare time. You've got to work on these things. And full respect to the players that are putting their hand in their pocket to go and get that help, because, you know, if you want to do something, well, what I say is, if it's something's worth doing, it's worth doing properly. And it's good to see that people are actually investing in themselves to make sure that they're able to perform at the highest level.
Now, obviously, when you're gearing towards people performing at the highest level, that comes at a cost, it comes at a price, right? So, without divulging too much of your business out there, because bear in mind, this is a live stream, this is going out. You might want to anyway, never know who's listening. Like, how do you kind of get that pricing bracket of, you know, going from teaching a grassroots kid to someone who potentially wants to make it into the pro game? Like, how do you get that? Is there a set price guide? Because let me refer back to me. Like, say, for example, someone wants to come to me and says, Clint, can you film a game? Okay, it's that. It's X, Y, and Z. Whereas if someone says to me, can you film, I don't know, an event or something? Again, it's something else, because I'm spending longer time at this event, it's different set of skills, all the rest of it. So how do you guys kind of come up with that?
I think sorry, Dents, I'll just, because I know you'll have an insight to it as well, but the way I see it is that I do price my sessions differently for grassroots players and for more elite players, but it's based on two different things. Preparation, but also my time. No one else can put a value on my time other than me, and not just that, but also my knowledge. But it's the preparation is the difference for me in preparing for the two different types of clients. I'm not going to say it's necessarily less preparation for a grassroots player or someone that's aspiring, but I would say that there's certainly more that goes into an elite player because there's more research. We have to know what a player's load has been like for that specific week or maybe even for that day. Are they coming back from injuries? What sort of specific injuries have they been struggling with? What sort of things do they want to work on? We have to try to tailor make a session to an elite athlete that is, their body is finely tuned. They're working at a level where the smallest things can affect their career. So there's certainly more planning and preparation that goes into an elite session than when you're working with a grassroots player or someone like an under 16 or something like that, because there's so much more to take into consideration.
Okay.
No. Without giving, it's not that I don't want to give away too much, but there's a specific way in which I go about things. I think that everybody should have an idea of how they want to work. So for me, it's more about, right, okay, how do you want to work? Now, it might be that I get a grassroots player who wants to work the same as a pro player. Now, the difference between being a pro and being somebody at grassroots is often you look at it financially. So, right, where can we get to? What's the closest that we can get to in order to give you what you need or what you want? I look at the individual. So I've gone from a point now where people can message me and go, oh yeah, I want a session. Yeah, all right, Sunday 12. I don't do that anymore. Now it's more a case of, right, okay, what do you need? Where are you at? What are you looking for from me? And we go from that point.
I'm going to ask you then, is there like a set criteria? Do they need to come in at a certain level? Do you know what I mean? Or do you just take on everyone? Because I'm hearing conflicting stories, not from yourselves, but from other people. It's like, I take on everyone, whereas some people might say I only take on players of a certain standard. What is your stance on it? Because I can often think that if you take on anyone, you're almost like saying, oh yeah, I'll take anyone's money sort of thing. Whereas if you're taking on someone of a certain standard, you're not only setting like a precedent for yourself, but for others around you, because they'll be like, okay, yeah, I think one-to-one should be for certain people of a certain standard.
I think so. For me, the key in what you just said there is one-to-one. So you're working with an individual. So for me, it doesn't matter whether the individual's right up here or a bit lower down. I'll work with them as long as they're willing to work hard, as long as they're willing to improve and willing to get better. Everybody has their preferences on who they work with. Everybody would you'd rather spend your time working one-to-one with Harry Kane, wouldn't you? Yeah. As opposed to somebody who works in grassroots. Of course, as a coach, I think that's probably something that lies within our egos as such. But for me, it's important to help individuals. It's important to help individuals develop. It's important to see progress in anybody that's willing. There are people who, one of the things I pride myself on is I've never gone into people's DMs and chased them to do one-to-ones. I've never gone and said, oh yeah, look, I do this one-to-one stuff. Would you be interested? And things like that. People have come and they've either seen the work that I've done or they want to progress. So they're actively out there looking. They might have messaged me. They might have messaged 5 others. But they're actually actively out there looking for one-to-one coaches. And so when they come in, you're not having to convince them. They want to work hard. They know what's going on. They know what's in your sessions. So I see a real benefit in keeping that door open and not necessarily closing it off. But naturally, I do get the whole. I get people who say I only work with a certain level. But I just think if you're skilled enough, you can work with any level.
What about you, Abs? Do you share the same sentiment? Do you have a certain criteria of people that you work with?
I think my only criteria is that the person involved takes the process as seriously as I do, because football coaching is what keeps a roof over my head and makes sure that my family are looked after. Do you know what I mean? So And it's also about continuity of service and continuity of product. I need to make sure that if I'm going to be delivering my product to someone, that they are going to respect it and they're going to appreciate it the same way that I do, because it's not just about the money, you know, because if it was just about the money, I'm sure we'll take on just about anybody. And like many coaches do, they just take on anybody. They go, yep, £100, 50, whatever it is for their sessions, or for an hour or 45 minutes, we could all do that. But we have to, you know, in order for us to actually develop a player and actually have an effect, we have to care about them. We have to get to know them. We actually have to care about them and their process and their journey. So there's an element of there's a tailored personal element that comes with a one-to-one that we can't ignore. And that has to be respected on both sides, both me and the person that wants that. So I would say my only real criteria is that the person involved is prepared to commit to the sessions. There's no excuses, you know, I woke up on the wrong side of the bed, I just stubbed my toe. You know, what is your work ethic? Do you know what I mean? So it's just like, if I'm committing to a process and I'm writing sessions, and I'm going, you know, I'm watching video clips of your game, and I'm saying, right, center of gravity, balance, small touches, half touches, taking the ball in a half turn. Look at his foot shape when he plays that long ball. Look at his foot shape as he caresses that ball. There's no finesse. You know, if I'm going to put in that kind of time into a person and into their career, I need to make sure that they're putting that same level of commitment into it also themselves.
Now, by the sounds of it, like, the pair of you sound like you've both taken a lot of consideration into these people that you're working with, their pathway. But do you feel like one-to-one should be more, what's the word I'm looking for? Probably like regulated, if that makes sense. So, for example, I'm a swim teacher. I've been a swim teacher for the best part of 10 years now. I've done group lessons, I've done one-to-one lessons and all the rest of it. And when you're doing those lessons, you have to obviously map out a pathway of what have you done with them each and every lesson to get them to swim their 25 meters, because that's their end goal. So that's the kind of sort of regulation for me. So what would you say that one-to-one coaching needs to do the same, or does that happen? I'm not too sure.
I think that, do you want to go first, mate? Or?
What about these smaller apps?
No, do you not? No, me and Dents have had many a conversation. That's why we've had many a conversation. That's why I'm smiling, because I know what's in his mind and I know what's in his heart. So I'm just prepared. I'm prepared to hear what's about to come
when
up.
you're looking at someone and you're saying, right, are they going to keep it real or not? Out from there, are they going to keep it real or not?
No, me, bro. Don't come with that media train.
Listen. I've had a lot of time over lockdown to become prepared, you know. So, yeah. A lot of time.
This is your show, Abs. So should be that you take the reins. Why am I answering the question?
Go, man.
But yeah, I think for me, the biggest thing for me when I look at it is I say, right, I'm not one for your proof is in what you see out on the pitch. So it's all fair and well you going to do one-on-one coaching to get better at football. But if you're doing all these hours of one-to-one coaching, but your lack of development lies in, I don't know, tracking your man, one-to-one coaching is not helping you. So a big reason why I took the step over to performance coaching as such is because the experience that I now have and the expertise that I've gained in making that step and bridging the gap in education and putting that into play on the pitch, both on the field and both with players away from the pitch, it gives me the opportunity to now say, right, okay, I've seen this game. Right, you're not doing this. Sit them down and watch video clips with them. Your agility, you're second off in the way you should be moving. You're not moving right. I can take you in the gym and I can adapt that and I can look at it. Just little 1% and 2% that you can work on that you're not just going to get from a one-to-one performance coach. Anybody can rock up with a bag of balls and some cones or some hurdles and tell you to jump over them or dribble through. But how are you working with that individual? How are you helping that individual progress? How are you helping that individual grow? That for me is the biggest question. Now, if that means that we have to go down a formalized route of like logging your sessions or putting in place development plans, and that's what's seen as best practice, then I don't see a negative in that, because people like to be able to look at their progress from session 1 to session 10 or session 100. If you can show a player that, surely that's got to have more strength to it. I'm not saying that we 100% need to go down that route, but it would deter a lot of people who just want the freedom to rock up and tell people to do this and that, and maybe charge money and earn a living off of half-heartedness, or earn a living off of not providing people with the right education, the proper education, in order for them to develop. I'm really big on giving the individual what they need, not necessarily what they want. So if you're giving the individual what they need, you're hitting the right markers for their development. And that for me is important. If you're just doing what you want or what they want, then yeah, you can charge them and take their money. But sooner or later, if their aim is, for example, right, I want to secure a pro contract, and I'm a scholar, I want to secure a pro contract by the end of the year. And you're just, right, what do you like? He doesn't like working hard, so I'm never going to work him hard. He only likes finishing, so I'm going to work on finishing. But he's a midfielder, and he needs to learn how to pass. He needs to learn different passing techniques. He needs to learn how to make a standing tackle. But I'm only ever going to work on finishing because that's what he likes. That's what I like teaching. How's he going to grow? How's he going to develop? How's he going to get his pro? And then when he doesn't get his pro, and he's been seeing you every week for the past year, he then knocks on your door. Hang on a minute, mate. You said I'm going to be a pro. What have we done over the year? All the things that they're saying I haven't improved on, I still haven't improved on. But me and you have been having fun. That for me, there's a big accountability gap. And that's it. I don't tend to walk towards regulation. I tend to walk towards accountability. People need to be accountable for the sessions that they put on, for the players that they're coaching. They need to be accountable to those. And it's not just one-to-one coaching. It's a whole range of coaching activities that go on. People and coaches, they need to be more accountable for their players. Definitely.
What are you saying, Naps, man? Do you feel the same way as Dents? Like, people need to be more held to account, watched upon, checking in, all the rest of it?
Well, not only do I agree with him, a lot of what he said is a lot of things that the two of us spoke about and both kind of said to each other in the past. Where regulations involved, I perhaps am a little more leaning to one side on that, in the sense that I think that there are things that the FA can do. I think that you can't look, having a B license or an A license doesn't mean you're going to be a very good one-to-one coach. And even if they said, okay, in order to do one-to-one coaching with players of a certain level, you need to have your B or your A, I would say that even in itself is not enough regulation. I think there are just like you can go to a gym or go to a college and go and do your PT exams, and you can go and become a PT, personal trainer. I think there is a demand for those types of qualification now, for more specific training-based elements, one-to-one, small groups. Yeah, it kind of changes, the dynamic changes for the coach. And I think for the people and the players involved need to know that you have a level of understanding. And I think that is a place to start. I think we need to start with making sure that coaches actually do understand the development process. They understand what it is to analyze. I think there's more. Look, the higher you get with players that you coach in terms of the level that they play at, there's more analysis involved. There's more detail involved. It's about fine tuning. It's the 1%, the 2% that make a huge difference for these kinds of players. Whereas when you're doing grassroots players, even if they say, look, I want to do this, well, actually there's 10 other things that demand more attention than you just wanted to go and get fit. Do you know what I mean? So it's like when you're working with a specific level of athlete, you're looking at fine tuning. So you need to demonstrate an understanding of analysis, body mechanics, technical detail. And I think that needs to be shown. And I think the only way for us to really know is if somebody's able to demonstrate that, not necessarily on a regular basis, but can they demonstrate that over a period of time? Can they show that analytically? Can they show that technically and in a way that they can formulate and deliver a session? So I think one way to make sure that coaches are able to do the things that they say they can, or the things that they advertise, is to perhaps put in place a one-to-one coaching qualification that looks at technical detail, at small segments of analysis. And again, there should be levels to it. I don't know how other people feel about that, but that's just my opinion. But at the same time, go on.
I think, look, I don't want to sit here from like an ivory tower and start pelting bullets at people who are starting out and wanting to do the same things that we both did. We both started before this was a concept. We both started quite fresh to it, quite milky. I definitely worked with players at a higher level than I was perhaps qualified for at the start. I had to make sure that I learned. I had to make sure that I did a lot of work for it. I had to make sure that I did a lot of due diligence, and I looked at these players. But that comes from an understanding of the game, an understanding of the different levels within the game, and sort of knowing that. And I think that what you're saying will give people that. It will definitely give people an understanding of the game and the different levels within the game.
But this is what I'm saying, is that I don't think every coach can be trusted to have their moral compass in the right place, because the financial rewards outweigh their need to work professionally. And look, and the thing is, and the reason why I can say that is because people like myself and Dents, who work in a professional environment, we work with elite players on a regular basis, and we understand the necessity to do exactly as it says on the tin. Not just from a professional standpoint, but from a personal standpoint, because our own personalities as ex-players, as people who want to develop ourselves, we're just as intrigued by the development process for ourselves as we are for the people that we coach. So there's an element of self that comes into it when we're delivering a one-to-one session. So the way that Dennis just said, at the start, he had worked with players that were maybe beyond the level that he was really able to coach at that time. But he then touched on the fact that actually I also went away and educated myself because I wanted to deliver a quality product. And that's what I'm saying. Not everyone can be trusted to do that, because that's my mind. Look, just like Dents, I definitely worked with players that were above my level at the time. But I went away and I educated myself, and I asked questions, and I watched other people, and I would ask, why are they doing that? I had to learn about body mechanics. I had to learn about technical detail and tactical detail and analysis, and what is it to watch a football match from an individual standpoint, as opposed to watching it when you're looking at it as a team, because they're two completely different elements. When you're watching individuals and when you're watching units, when you're watching teams, they're completely different things. So I think there has to be a way where coaches have to take accountability for their own either lack of preparation or for their own success.
I want to, first before I get into the next part of it, just want to give a shout out to people listening in the stream. So shout out to Jamie Leggett, just basically saying facts. He's agreeing with everything that you guys are saying. Shout out to Coach K. Davey as well. So let's not give the FA an idea to grab more money for us coaches. But agree needs to be more regulated, somehow, as see as so many cowboy one-to-one coaches. Now, the next bit I want to get into, I'm going to title this bit Selling Dreams. So, and it's two parts to it. It's two parts to it. So hear me out. So the first part is selling the player dreams. So in terms of, like you said earlier, then it's like, I'll get you to a Premier League club, no problem. Get there. It reminds me of some of those cheesy American adverts, like, we'll get you to a Premier League club or your money back, like one of them ones. That's the part one of it. Part two is when they eventually go off somewhere, and this could be completely different. Why are you and solely you claiming for that person, whereas they might have had not only you as a one-to-one coach, but they've had their club coach, they've had previous coaches. Do you know what I mean? It takes a village to raise a child, as they say. Do you know what I'm saying? So that's what I'm just getting on. So those are the two parts of selling dreams. Not only just claiming that you can get them to a Premier League club, but when they do get there, you're taking the full thing for it. Whereas, you know, they're a full 18, 19-year-old man. They've had 18 years of, you know, coaching before you. You've been with them 2 weeks and you're claiming for getting them there. Do you know what I'm saying? Does that make sense?
I think it's about adding credibility to your brand, or credibility to your ability as a coach. And some people, even if they've delivered a trash product, want credibility. And that's where the ego element comes in. And I think if you're really focused on how that player has developed, you won't care about trying to jump on a bandwagon and get credit for anything, because here's the thing. You see this football industry, it's a small world, you know. It's a very, very small world. And when a player succeeds, I don't need to jump on social media and start begging for acts and begging for him to give me a shout out as credit, and that all of that stuff for me is long. At the end of the day, people will watch that success, and anyone that's in that industry and they've watched the rise, or they've watched the development, and they go to him and say, "Oh, bro, like, listen, you've done great work, man. What was your key? Oh, listen, I've done some one-to-one work. I've done a bit of this, a bit of that, whatever it was." And people will ask. And the thing is, like, word of mouth is the most credible form of advertisement for people like me and Dents. We don't need to jump on social media and do a madness and try and blanket everyone with videos and madness. Like, yeah, we will show videos of some of the things that we do because we're proud of our work, but we're not canvassing for business. Do you know what I mean? We're not trying to bang on people's doors and do door-to-door sales on social media. At the end of the day, the people that come to us because it's about word of mouth and quality of product and quality of service. And as Den said earlier, it's not about doing what the player wants. It's about doing what's best for them, even when they don't want to do that thing. And that will always come to the front. You know, quality is every time people will choose quality over quantity.
What about you, Dents?
I think if you work with me, I think, and you go on to do well, I think I become this really annoying fan. And what I mean by that is, like, I'll look out for everything. I'll look out for your games. Like, when you score your first career goal, I'll be the one that sends you a message and says congrats. And it's not from a point of wanting to make sure that everybody knows I've worked with that player. To be honest, I couldn't care less. For me, I've seen what you've been through. And a lot of you, if you've worked with me, you'd have been through a lot to get through it. You'd have been through a lot to get to the end of it. You'd have deserved to be where you are. There's a couple of players that spring to mind when I talk like that, and when I think about some of the pre-seasons I've had with them, they deserve to be where they are. They deserve to be doing the things that they're doing. When I'm talking to them about the types of careers they could have, or the types of things that aren't out of reach for them, they then look back, and when it happens for them, they're like, how did you know 2-3 years ago that I could do that I could be that? And it's that belief, it's that once you work with me, you're part of the family, and this family is gonna keep supporting you, gonna keep working with you. And for me, that's more important. I couldn't care less about people turning around and say, "Oh, you're working with this guy. Oh, you're working with that guy." Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, that's cool. But they are who they are. And for me, I get more pride out of seeing people come into sessions and I'll get more pride out of the ones that were miles off, but I had no chance. And they're flying now. I'm going to kick on again. I get more pride out of the ones who were completely dependent on me at the start, and now don't need me at all. to do what they're doing. For me, that's more impressive. And it's like what you say about the whole village thing, about it taking a village to raise a child. Like, I get more pride out of being part of the village than I do being that person that goes, yeah, I did this with him, and come and do this interview, and come and talk up the stuff that we did and things like that, and come and talk about this. I probably don't do it enough because I'm too busy celebrating what they're doing. I'm too busy talking to them about how everything's going, about whether they're playing, about whether their gaffer likes them, about what their plans are at the end of their contract. Are you going to sign another one, or you're going to move? Or like that for me is far more interesting than anything I'm doing. I like football, so I like to talk football. I don't like to talk about business and right. Okay, come on. Do you know it'd be really good for me if you gave me these testimonials, or if you did this video for me, or if you came to this session and things like that. 9 times out of 10, people will offer. If you've built that strong connection, if you work well with those players, they'll say, "Oh, I see you're doing this. All right, I'm down on Thursday. I'll pop in." That's because of the environment that you build. That's it, because of the connections that you make. I mean, if you make those strong connections, if you treat people as though they're family, as though they mean something, as though they're not just a meal ticket. Do you know what I mean? You start to build strong connections, and that's how I see it. That's how I've always worked. That's how I work with people. And I think for me, I take more pride in doing that than I ever will from trying to make out that I'm the main part of somebody else's success. Do you know what I mean? I take pride in what I do, and I promote what I do as the main benefactor for me. Everything else is about them.
Shout out to Coach K again, saying difficult as if someone's mate is a scout the dream by getting them to a sesh in regards to the question we asked. But as App said, the money outweighs people caring. I want to kind of flip it on its head now before I'm going to let Apps take the reins, because bearing in mind it's his show and I'm flipping
Don't do that.
I'm going to ask his final question. This is just curiosity from me. So,
yeah.
If I'm coming in as a customer or a parent of a customer, so say, for example, I bring my kid, because I'm guessing a lot of the parents pay for these sessions as well. What am I looking out for to know that I'm getting a quality coach that's going to get my child from A to B? Because I could be sold all the clips online on Instagram and all the rest of it, but me as a parent that's genuinely interested, again, I'll go back to me as a swimming instructor. When people say, "Oh, can I do one-to-one classes with you, Clinton?" I'm like, okay, cool. I've got so. I've got them doing their 25 meters within 6 to 8 weeks. That's what you'll get with me. And again, you see my style of coaching. You know, I'm not well done, kids, all the time. I'm just like, yo, I treat you like how I would treat my own child, sort of thing. So, what is it they can do in terms of one-to-one coaching? What can they get from you guys, or get in terms of one-to-one coaching anyway?
I'd say things that parents need to look out for, and certainly the people that are paying for the sessions that they need to look out for, is how much is that person talking before they start to listen. Because this is about information transfer. I can't do my job unless I know who this person is, and then I can find out who the player is. So if you meet a coach and he does more talking about himself and talking about what he's done in the past, more talking about that than he does asking you about your child, asking you about you. If he's doing more talking, then I would say there's a good chance, not necessarily, not always, but I'd say there's a good chance this person either A, doesn't know what they're doing, or B, has got different intentions.
I think if you're a parent and you've contacted me and you are for a session, if you arrive at that session and I've got to ask you anything with regards to what I'm going to do today or anything like that, I'm not prepared. I'm not at a level.
Yep.
All that should be dealt with in the conversation.
Yeah.
So for me, it's about being professional. It's about having professional standards. It's about making sure that you understand who you're working with, like Apple just said, but also it's also making sure that the parents understand where that money's going.
Mm-hmm.
What the plan is with it. Like you're paying your money, you want outcomes. Now you can get parents to go, listen, I want to give you this, and he's got to go into an academy club. I'm not going to guarantee you that because I've not seen your son, or your daughter. I don't know what they're like. I don't know how they play football. I don't know what their style is. I don't know how far away they are. Once I know that, then I can tell you, right, okay, this is where I think they are. This is where I think they might be able to get to within 5 sessions, within 10 sessions, within a month, within a week. This is where I think that they're at. Okay. But the idea is for me, is to inform parents, to give them more information than less information, because I think that we're in this industry of one-to-one coaching. I think the power lies with information. And I think those who don't give it, those who don't give it out, perhaps have the comfort of being able to do what they want.
Yeah.
Those who do work transparently and don't try to, well, I'm not trying to make out that everybody's sinister in the way that they move, but some certain people can be. Let's not try and pretend that everybody out here is working in the best possible way that they can. Some people might not know how. But for me, I think that it's always a good sign when there's lots of transparency, when there's lots of information, when the coach is able to tell you, right, this is where we're going to be in 6 sessions time, and you can see them in 6 sessions and they're doing it. Do you know what I mean? When you're giving that level of detail that you need, when there's not just a session plan, but you might be talking to them about little bits they can do away from you. Do you know what I mean? I think the ultimate idea and how I always envisioned one-to-one coach, let's step away from performance coaching, but I always envisioned the one-to-one coaches. You go from an opportunity of high dependency to an area of a lot less dependency and a lot lower. So for me, I don't think anybody would ever want to see an individual coach for the entirety of the time they were playing football. I think for me, go on, let me just finish quick.
Yeah, go on.
I think just for me, it would give them an opportunity to, if you need to see an individual coach from 9s to 16s, you're not improving. You're not able to stand on your own. You're not able to fly. For me, a good individual coach will get that boy to a level in which they achieve their goals. And once they've achieved their goals, it might just be that as an individual coach, you take them up to the next level and you keep progressing them. But if you're always working in the same way the entire time, you're not onto a good one there. Sorry, Apps.
No. I was just going to back you up and just say that that's where confidence meets competence. There, and it's getting players to a level where they are confident and competent enough to operate without you. And that's where we have to be selfless in the fact that we're not looking out for our back balance. We're looking out for the best of the individual and just making sure that we get them to a level where they can prosper with or without us kind of in the background. I think this is a conversation that needs to be had, because I think if we can even get one person that's doing one-to-one coaching who maybe doesn't have bad intentions, maybe they're just doing their sessions and they're just doing what they see on the internet, they're picking up sessions and that kind of stuff. If we can just get one person to think more logically about what they're doing and change their way of practicing, then this is a good conversation to have.
No, I fully agree. Now, as I said before, this is Apps' show, so this is where I throw it over to him. But
Lord have mercy.
I know, right?
Hey, hey.
I know. I'll give it all the power, but just to throw my little 2 cents in there, because obviously I feel like the conversation has been a bit, let's say, negative, but maybe let's talk about some positives out of one-to-one coaching. Maybe talk about some of the people that you've kind of got, if you had with you for like, I don't know, 4 or 5 weeks, months maybe, and they've gone on to bigger, better things, and talk about their progresses.
Shoot.
Yeah, I think Look, it's not all doom and gloom. I think. Do you know what I mean? If you ask for real answers, I think the idea is we've got to open the lens to. There's a wonderful side of one-to-one coaching where lots of people are able to work with players and help them push through. But then on the other hand, and we saw it a lot with lockdown and sort of coming out of lockdown, some people are having to do it to make money. And when that's your motivation, you're always at a loss in terms of the quality that you can give, I think. And I guess it's just something to be wary of. I think if you're a parent watching this, or if you want the best for your child, and the expertise don't necessarily lie with you if you're a parent, you need to know what to look for. And I think it's important to give them that. But as we were saying, I think there's lots of positive stuff. I've worked with players who, as I said, I don't feel like some players believed that they had a chance, believed that they could achieve some of the things that they've achieved. And to see them now and see what they're doing now, I don't think they understand how big of a jump they've made. I don't think they understand how much they're doing. And I don't think they understand how much they could do with the platform that they've created for themselves. There's loads of different players and different talents and different abilities that I've worked with that have gone on to do some special things in the game. And also some people who maybe aren't doing as best as they hoped. But the idea is to stay on track. The idea is to keep working hard. The idea is to keep giving your all and keep going out there and making sure that you're developing and you're growing wherever you are. From my point of view, that's how I see it. I don't know about you, Abs.
Yeah, look, I think no matter what happens, development is always at the forefront of my thinking, and I think as long as that's the case, that's exactly what will happen with the people that you come into contact with. They will think long and hard about the things that they themselves are doing to support their training and to support their educational needs. Look, for me, I'd say that the biggest indicator that somebody's prepared to make change for themselves is the fact that they will come to somebody like myself or Dents in the first place and invest in their own future. And it is very much an investment in yourself. So that for me is the biggest thing, making sure that people make that investment. And it isn't all doom and gloom. There's so many very, very good one-to-one coaches and performance coaches. There's so many really, really good guys out there. It's just, but just like in life, it's always the minority that kind of taint the glass for the majority. Do you know what I mean? So we have to address it. We've got no choice. We have no choice but to address that.
Listen, and to step away from these coaches, because I think if we speak about them all day, I'm going to get upset, Apple. I think there are players out there who I've worked with who, like, obviously, I'm not going to name them because I don't want to embarrass them, but there are players out there who I've worked with who haven't had the best experiences in football when they were young. Maybe had setbacks, maybe were released, maybe told that they weren't ever going to make it. I recall working with somebody who, when my first impression of them, they walked in for a trial at a college team. And one of the coaches tapped me on the shoulder and said, yeah, not for me, him. He's lazy. He doesn't want to work hard. He'll never be a footballer. He's mouthy. He's this, that, and the other. It's kind of a Michael Jordan moment for me. I kind of took it personal. And I ended up working with him. He came to me, to be fair. I didn't go to him. He came to me and asked. And we worked hard. Long story short, that player who the coach come to me and said, he's lazy, he never make it, he never do this. He now plays in the league. Starts every week. He'll kick on and go higher up in that ladder, definitely. And the faith and belief that I've got in him is phenomenal. And he doesn't play in the league because of me. He plays in the league because of him. He plays in the league because of what was inside of him, because nobody had ever turned around and tried to get it out of him. And now you can't keep up with him. People can't keep up with him. He's flying. He's got himself to a level whereby he's outgrowing and he's out developing everyone that he comes near, because he won't be outworked. He won't be the one that goes without, because he knows what it's like to go without. He knows what it's like for people to not give him the opportunity and not allow him to do certain things. And now he's got a taste of it. He's hungry and he wants more and he wants more. For me, it's about singing the praises of those kind of people that get those setbacks, that have everything opposing them, and they still come out shining. They still come out at the top of their game week in, week out, performing at a level way above what anybody could have imagined when they looked at him as a 16-year-old kid. Do you know what I mean? For me, that's so important. I think it's important to share that on this platform, definitely.
I think it takes you back to something that I spoke about a long time ago. I don't believe in bad attitudes in players. I believe in bad coaches. I believe in people not being in the right frame of mind to give somebody a chance. I believe if you want to get the best out of a player, I believe you can. Yes, it does take two. That player has to want to as well. But can you find a way to relate to that player or relate to that person to bring the player out of them? And that is such a big element to coaching. And I think the new crop of coaches that we have are so football based that their knowledge becomes irrelevant because they don't know how to transfer that knowledge. Because their people skills or their life experiences are just not on par with where their football knowledge is. I see it a lot in the academy system. Outstandingly educated individuals with absolutely no life experience and no ability to communicate with people. Short patience, short attention span, and only a will and desire to work with people at the very top level. I would say, do you know what? My missus said something to me a while back, and she said, every baby is born a genius. Every baby is born a genius. They learn how to be stupid. They learn how to be racist. They learn how to be a bigot. They learn how to be a fascist. Like, they learn all of these behavioral traits are learned, but they're born a genius. They're born with the ability to do absolutely everything. I believe that's the case with every player. When a player comes into a new team, or when a new coach comes into a team, you have to look at every player as a potential genius and give them the platform and give them the opportunity to show you. Teach them how to be what you want them to be, rather than write them off and throw them in the dustbin. And I think that's obviously what Dents did. Dents gave that kid the respect that his life and deserved, that his effort levels deserved. He came to Dents and asked for help. And I'm sure even if he didn't go to Dents and ask for help, I know Dents would have found a way to make him come to them. I know that he would have found a way to throw a fish in the water and get him to come to him, because I do the exact same thing. And the way that I would do it, and the way that I have done it in the past, and I hate to use Rondo as a goddamn example, but goddamn it, it's one that's relevant. But I would, in order to get Rondo to come to me, I had to basically beat him over the head. I had to call him out publicly. I had to say certain things and dig him out. I had to make him feel a certain way. I had to make him come and challenge me in my space, in a personal environment, so then I could latch onto him and go, right, now I've got your attention. Now I've got your attention. Let the magician go to work. Let me perform some miracles. Let me show you why I am what I am. And it's working. Every coach needs to give every player the same opportunity that they wanted when they came into football. Don't write everybody off just because of their body language. You don't know what that person's been through. You don't know what they're going through on that day. You don't know what dramas they've had in their lives. Even if you personally can't deal with that player, do you have someone on your coaching staff? Is there another player that you can talk to and try to find a way to relate to that person? It's our job. We're obligated to do that. If we're not doing that, then I would say we're not we're not performing our job to the best of our abilities. That is not best practice. You know, but more than half the job is about communication, not football. More than half the job, I would say 60 to 70% of coaching is about communication and relationships. 30% of it is about knowledge.
There you go, man. I mean, look, we're approaching the hour mark, so I don't know if there's anything left from your point of view to cover. I've definitely got all my questions out. I've learned a lot more about one-to-one coaching. I'm still not coming to you two though, that's for sure. Just
we don't want you. We don't want you over here. I heard that swimmers dive.
You don't want my money now. All right.
I heard that swimmers dive. I don't know part in that.
Do you know what's like? Do you know, if you don't come to me or Dents, you're gonna end up like the amateur footballer. That's what's gonna happen.
Oh my gosh, Lord have mercy.
So what you got for me then, Apple? Quick fire round, yeah.
Yeah.
Do you know what? Boy. Do you know what? Dents is my guy. I'm not trying to stitch him up like that. I'm not trying to stitch him up like that, man. Yeah, he's my guy, man. He's my guy.
No. Listen. The shoulders are broad, man. Come. What he got for me?
Nah, listen, I ain't got no smoke for you, bro. I got no smoke for you, man. Nothing but love.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
Hey, PS5s are cheap, you know.
I might get Dents on him more often, mate. That's it. Get rid of that, bro.
Boy, man. Whoa. We can have a spin-off, you know. One day Apple might not be able to make it. I'll do a little takeover, but that's about it, you know. Nothing more. I'll stand in if the great man can't make it. I'll stand in 1 week if the great man can't make it. But that's about it.
See how you changed it to 1 week? Listen, maybe that's the week that I want. You're fresh, innit, Clint? What do you reckon?
What, you man can afford more than 1 week?
What?
you set up like that, yeah.
Hey,
I didn't realize the budget was set up like that, Apple.
No, man.
Man.
Paying by the minute right now. That's the reason why I'm checking.
What I'm saying. Clinton's trying to cut us off at an hour because he knows what happens to the tariff if we pass 60 minutes. We got diesel ain't easy right now. Diesel prices, they're not easy right now. We have to claw it all back.
Yeah, get me. Oh boy.
Out here too, the diesel, it's not easy.
Alright, so shut off, man, because you man are in tier 2 and that, man. I've seen 4 people are struggling out here, man.
Oh boy.
We can barely get out of our driveway, let alone, down to anywhere else.
Yeah, that's crazy. Wow. You're gonna have to stay inside. It's for the best.
Yeah, it's for the best indeed, man. But yeah, you know what? I enjoyed this hour. It's flown by. Seriously, has flown by. Talking about one-to-one coaching. I'm sure we'll talk about more stuff throughout this period of time. And again, Dents, you're always welcome back, man. So anytime you want to come and express yourself and talk about certain things, then by all means, either hit myself or Apps up or just jump in the comment section, man. That's it, man.
You guys, I appreciate your time. I appreciate you guys bringing me through. I've enjoyed hearing what Apple's got to say, do you know what I mean, on the topic. And I've also enjoyed being grilled by you, Clint,
Grilled? A little catch-up thing,
Yeah, of course. But it's all love. I've enjoyed myself. Thank you.
No worries, man. Anytime, man. As always, Apps, it's a pleasure having you on. Good that you can make time for us little people over here, you know what I'm saying?
Trust me. Hey, Hollywood Apple.
Hollywood Apple.
Clint. I knew this man when he was a pip. Now he's one big apple boy. Now look. He's misbehaving. Yeah, boy.
I'm flipping it up.
Yeah, man. I knew when he was a pip, man.
I love that. I do this.
He's a big apple now, and this is how he's going on.
Mad. I hope that don't stick. If I hear that term outside of this, I'm gonna come back.
It doesn't bother me. I'm in tier 2. It don't bother me. I'm in tier 2. You can't catch me up.
Listen, I'll come to Bicester and just start coughing in the middle of Bicester. It will reach your yard.
Boy, you have to go Bicester, boy, because I'm not there. Enjoy that.
Oh my days, hilarious.
My lord.
Again, thank you both for joining me. Thanks everyone for listening and scared as well. If you're watching this back, Make sure you just drop us all a like and subscribe. Make sure you follow these two gentlemen as well. And again, for one-to-one coaching, go to these two. I was joking earlier on; they are two good coaches, despite the banter as well. So yeah, take care.
The group chat's gonna get lit up now, isn't it? You're gonna light out the group chat now. I know. Dents.
See you there. See you there.
Take care.
Take it.